My name is Maren Ellis. I am 31 years old, and 3 days after knee surgery, I learned that being family did not mean they would stay when I could not stand. I woke up in my garden-level room, with my leg locked in a brace, my throat dry from pain medication, and the ice pack beside me already warm. The doctor had warned me that the first days after ACL surgery would be rough, but I was not supposed to be alone. Everyone had promised they would be there, so I sent one simple message to the family group chat. Can someone bring me the gel ice pack from the freezer, please? 10 minutes passed. Then 20. No answer. Upstairs, the house was too quiet. No footsteps, no coffee machine, no television. I grabbed my crutches and dragged myself up one stair at a time, sweating through my shirt before I even reached the kitchen. The driveway was empty. The fridge had almost nothing in it except bottled water, old creamer, and a half-empty carton of eggs. There was no note, no soup, no medicine schedule, no one checking whether I had eaten. Then I opened Instagram and saw them. Gerald Ellis, Patricia Ellis, and Celeste Monroe were smiling at a beach resort in Florida. Sunglasses on, drinks in hand, acting like they had not left me home after surgery without even telling me. When I called, they did not sound guilty. They sounded annoyed. Patricia said, "You are old enough to take care of yourself. We are not your servants." Gerald added that everyone needed a break, and Celeste laughed like my pain was an inconvenience to her vacation. I looked down at my swollen knee, then at the warm ice pack in my hand, and something inside me went completely still. I did not scream. I did not beg. I only said, "Okay." And that was the last day I let them treat my kindness like a family utility they could use for free. Before I tell you what happened 3 days after they came home, tell me where you are watching from and what the weather is like there. I want to know how far this story can travel, because someone out there has been carrying an entire family on their back and still being called selfish for finally putting the weight down. Before all of that happened, I honestly believed I had done everything the responsible way. I was 31, working from home as a healthcare claims auditor, and living in the garden-level rental suite under my parents' house in Aurora, Illinois, just outside Chicago. I was not living there for free. I paid rent every month. I paid my share of the utilities. I bought my own groceries, did my own laundry, handled my own insurance, and never treated their house like a hotel. The only reason I had stayed there instead of moving farther away was because the setup was practical. My job was remote. The rent was lower than a downtown apartment, and I thought being close to family would matter when life got hard. That belief ended after my ACL surgery. The injury itself had come from something stupid. I had played basketball in college, and years later, during a casual weekend game with coworkers, my knee twisted the wrong way. I heard the pop before I felt the pain. After months of braces, physical therapy, and pretending it was not as bad as it was, the orthopedic surgeon finally told me surgery was the only real option. I was nervous, not because of the surgery itself, but because of the recovery. The doctor was very clear. For the first couple of weeks, I would not be driving. I would need help getting food, changing ice packs, keeping track of medication, and getting to my first follow-up appointment. I could work from my laptop after a few days, but I could not safely climb stairs all the time or carry things while using crutches. So before I even scheduled the operation, I sat down at the kitchen table with Gerald Ellis, Patricia Ellis, and Celeste Monroe. Gerald was my father, Patricia was my mother, and Celeste was my older sister. Celeste lived about 20 minutes away in Naperville, and always liked to talk about how busy her life was, even when she somehow had time for brunch, salon appointments, and weekend shopping trips. I told them exactly what the doctor had said. I did not make it dramatic. I did not ask anyone to take 2 weeks off work or sit beside my bed holding my hand. I said I would need basic help. Someone to bring down ice packs from the freezer upstairs. Someone to make sure there was simple food in the house. Someone to drive me to the follow-up appointment because I could not drive on pain medication. Someone to check on me once or twice a day so I did not have to risk falling on the stairs. Patricia reached across the table and squeezed my hand. She said, "Of course, sweetheart." Gerald nodded like I had insulted him by even asking. He said, "We are your parents. We will be here." Celeste sighed in that big sister way, like she was already doing me a favor by listening, then said she would bring leftovers and maybe soup from the deli near her house. I even wrote everything in the family group chat that night because I did not want confusion later. Surgery Tuesday. Home Wednesday. First follow-up next week. Need help with food, ice packs, and rides. Patricia sent a heart emoji. Gerald wrote, "We got you." Celeste wrote, "Stop worrying. You will be fine." Looking back, that message thread was the last moment I still believed them. I spent the next few days preparing like a person who trusted her family but still wanted to be responsible. I set up my shower chair. I bought extra pillows. I filled a basket with medication, crackers, bottled water, charging cords, and the TV remote. I put clean clothes within reach. I ordered a wedge pillow for my leg through Amazon Prime, the same Prime account I paid for and everyone else used. I made a list of medication times and taped it to the wall beside my bed. Patricia saw it and laughed softly, saying I was too organized for my own good. Gerald told me not to worry so much. Celeste texted me a picture of a soup menu and asked which one I liked best. I chose chicken rice because it seemed easy on my stomach. She replied, "Perfect." I felt embarrassed for being scared. I told myself I was lucky. Some people had to recover alone. I had family upstairs. I had people who had promised. I had people who knew exactly what I needed. That was the part that hurt later. They could not say they misunderstood. They could not say I never asked. They could not say I expected them to read my mind. I had laid everything out clearly, calmly, and ahead of time. They had looked me in the eyes and promised they would be there. The surgery was on a Tuesday morning. Gerald drove me to the outpatient surgical center before sunrise because my appointment was early, and I remember the parking lot lights reflecting off the windshield while I tried to act calm. He was quiet during the drive, but I told myself that was just how he handled stress. Patricia had kissed my forehead before we left and told me she would make sure the house was ready when I got home. Celeste texted a row of prayer hands and said she would check in later. The procedure went well. I woke up groggy, freezing, and confused, with my leg wrapped and locked into a brace. The nurse explained the medication schedule again, reminded Gerald about the ice and elevation, and told him I should not be left without access to food, water, or a phone. Gerald nodded through all of it. He even repeated some of the instructions back to her, which made me feel safe. I came home Wednesday afternoon. The nerve block was still working, so the pain felt distant, like my leg belonged to someone else. Gerald helped me down the side entrance into my garden-level suite. He put my crutches by the sofa, set a bottle of water and my pill container on the coffee table, and told me to sleep. Patricia came downstairs for maybe 3 minutes. She said I looked pale, adjusted the blanket over my leg, and said she would check on me after dinner. Celeste texted that she had gotten busy but would bring soup the next day. I believed all of them. That first night I slept in broken pieces. Every few hours I woke up, took medication, sipped water, and drifted off again. By Thursday morning, everything changed. The nerve block wore off like someone had turned a switch. Pain came sharp and hot through my knee, and my whole body felt heavy. The gel ice pack beside me had gone warm during the night. The backup ice packs were in the freezer upstairs because the little freezer in my suite was too small. I picked up my phone and sent a message to the group chat. "Can someone bring me the gel ice pack from the freezer, please?" I waited. The message showed, delivered. No reply. I tried to sit up, but the movement sent pain shooting up my thigh. I waited another 10 minutes, then sent another message. "I really need ice." Still nothing. At first, I thought maybe they were asleep or in the shower. Then I noticed the silence. The upstairs floor was usually noisy in the morning. Gerald made coffee like he was operating construction equipment. Patricia watched morning news too loudly. Someone always opened cabinets, walked across the hardwood, or argued with the dog next door through the window. That morning, there was nothing. No footsteps, no voices, no coffee machine. I called Patricia. It rang and went to voicemail. I called Gerald. No answer. I called Celeste. Straight to voicemail. The pain made me impatient and scared. I told myself I could make it upstairs once. Just once. I locked the brace, grabbed my crutches, and started up the stairs one at a time. It was not a brave scene. It was ugly and slow. I had to stop halfway up because I got dizzy. My hands were sweating against the crutch grips. I kept thinking, if I fall, no one will hear me. When I finally reached the kitchen, I knew before I saw anything. The house felt empty. The driveway outside the kitchen window was empty. Gerald's SUV was gone. Patricia's car was gone. The fridge looked like people had cleared it before a trip. Bottled water, old creamer, half a carton of eggs, mustard, and nothing else. No soup, no casserole, no note, no medication reminder. Nothing that said, "We had to leave, but here is what you need." I opened the freezer with shaking hands, pulled out the ice pack, and leaned against the counter until my breathing slowed down. Then my phone buzzed. It was not a text from them. It was an Instagram notification because Celeste had posted a story. I opened it without thinking. There they were. Gerald, Patricia, and Celeste, standing beside a pool at a beach resort in Florida. The water was bright blue behind them. Patricia had sunglasses on. Gerald was holding a drink. Celeste was smiling like she had just escaped something terrible. The caption said, "Finally, some peace. Family Beach Week." I stared at that picture until my vision blurred. Not from tears, but from disbelief. They had not forgotten. They had planned this. They had packed bags, driven to the airport, flown to Florida, checked into a resort, and posted smiling photos while I was downstairs after surgery waiting for an ice pack. I called Patricia again. This time, she answered. There was beach noise in the background. I asked her where they were, even though I already knew. She said, "Maren, do not start." I asked why nobody told me. Gerald took the phone or leaned close enough for me to hear him. He said they needed a break. Patricia said I was grown and could manage a few days. Then came the sentence that changed something in me forever. "We are not your servants." Celeste laughed in the background and said I should order DoorDash like everyone else. I stood in that kitchen on one good leg, holding a frozen gel pack against my swollen knee, and suddenly everything became very clear. They were not sorry. They were annoyed that I expected them to keep a promise. So I stopped explaining. I stopped trying to make them understand. I said one word. "Okay." Then I hung up. Getting back downstairs took longer than getting up. By the time I reached my sofa, my arms were shaking and my knee felt like it had a heartbeat. I put the ice pack on it, set an alarm for my next dose of medication, and stared at the ceiling for a long time. I wanted to cry, but the feeling was deeper than crying. It was that cold moment when your brain stops defending people for you. All my life, I had been good at making excuses for Gerald, Patricia, and Celeste. Gerald was harsh because he was tired. Patricia was dismissive because she was stressed. Celeste took more than she gave because she had always been the dramatic one, and everyone expected me to be the reasonable one. I had lived inside those excuses for years, but pain has a way of stripping a situation down to the truth. I was recovering from surgery. They knew it, and they left anyway. The next few days became a survival routine. I used DoorDash for meals, but drivers kept leaving food at the front door upstairs instead of the side entrance to my suite, even when I wrote instructions in all capital letters. One afternoon, I had to hook the plastic bag with the end of my crutch and drag it down the outside steps one stair at a time while balancing on my good leg. The soup spilled inside the bag before I made it inside. I ate it anyway, because I was too exhausted to care. I ordered groceries through Instacart. But the shopper replaced half my items with random things I could not use. I needed easy meals, protein shakes, bottled water, and freezer packs. I got a family-size bag of tortilla chips, vanilla yogurt, and sparkling water because the store was out of what I requested. I called the orthopedic clinic twice, not because I was in danger, but because I was scared of doing something wrong. The nurse was kind. She reminded me to elevate, ice, take medication with food, and not push myself on stairs. I almost laughed when she said that. Not because it was funny, but because the only people who were supposed to help me avoid the stairs were sitting by a pool in Florida. On the second night alone, my phone buzzed with another story from Celeste. This one showed a seafood dinner, a sunset, and Patricia smiling with a caption about making memories with the people who matter. I screenshotted it. I did not know why yet. Maybe some part of me knew I would need proof. Maybe I was tired of being made to feel crazy. Then I opened the Notes app on my phone and started typing. At first, I wrote down what happened after surgery. Date, time, group chat messages, calls, Instagram stories. Then something else came out. A list. Not a list of what they had done to me, but a list of what I had done for them. It started small. Amazon Prime paid by me. Disney Plus Family Plan paid by me. Spotify Family Plan paid by me. Then I remembered the family cell plan. Gerald had insisted years ago that it was easier to keep everyone together, but somehow my card had become the one on file whenever his payment failed. I remembered the Ring cameras. I had installed the app on Patricia's phone, reset her password 3 times, adjusted motion zones, and answered every panicked call when she could not see the front porch feed. I remembered the smart thermostat Gerald loved to brag about, but could not operate without texting me. I remembered the HOA portal, the login he forgot every month, the fees I reminded him to pay, the late notices I intercepted before they became problems. I remembered Amazon Subscribe and Save orders for detergent, toilet paper, coffee pods, vitamins, trash bags, and dog food for a dog that was not even mine. I remembered online banking for Patricia, insurance forms for Gerald, tax documents scanned and organized every spring, garage code instructions typed and saved, router resets, printer fixes, password resets, grocery orders, appointment reminders, car maintenance schedules. I even remembered Celeste calling me during her divorce because she could not figure out how to upload documents to the court portal. I had sat on the phone with her for 2 hours after midnight while she cried. Then she forgot to thank me the next day. I wrote everything down. The more I wrote, the more obvious it became. I was not just a daughter. I was their free operations department. The invisible person keeping the house running, the subscriptions active, the bills remembered, the passwords recovered, the groceries arriving, the appointments scheduled, and the family image polished. They called it family when they needed help. They called it being dramatic when I needed help. By Saturday, the list was long enough that I had to scroll to read it. Every time my knee throbbed, I added another line. Every time I saw another beach photo, I added another line. Every time I heard Patricia's voice in my head saying, "We are not your servants," I added another line. And something strange happened. I did not feel weaker. I felt clearer. I realized I did not have to yell to prove I was hurt. I did not have to beg for basic decency. I did not have to punish them. I only had to stop protecting them from the consequences of losing me. That was the moment the revenge started. But it did not look like revenge. It looked like a woman in sweatpants, with a swollen knee and a laptop on her lap, finally reading the fine print of her own life. On Sunday morning, while they were still in Florida, I opened my laptop and started with my own phone. Before touching anything connected to them, I made sure I would be safe. I transferred my number out of the family cell plan and into my own account. It took a long call with customer support, but when it was done, my phone belonged to me, my bill, my card, my control. Then I removed my credit card from the old family plan. I did not cancel their phones. I simply stopped being the backup wallet nobody acknowledged. Next was Amazon Prime. The account was under my name. Gerald used it for tools. Patricia used it for household supplies. Celeste used it constantly for packages to her house in Naperville. I removed them from household sharing and canceled the subscribe and save items that were not mine. Detergent, coffee pods, vitamins, paper towels, trash bags, and everything else I had been funding out of habit. Then came the streaming accounts. Disney Plus, Spotify, a cloud storage plan Patricia used for photos but never paid attention to. I changed nothing that belonged to them. I only canceled family plans I paid for. Every cancellation screen asked, "Are you sure? Your family will lose access." I almost laughed. My family had left me without access to ice after surgery. They could survive losing a cartoon subscription. After that, I opened the house management folder on my computer. It was embarrassing how much of their life lived on my laptop. HOA login instructions, garage keypad reset steps, HVAC company number, water heater warranty, plumber contact, lawn service schedule, snow removal contract, insurance renewal date, property tax portal, Patricia's banking notes, Gerald's car maintenance reminders. I created a folder called House Archive, put everything inside it, and emailed it to Gerald and Patricia. The message was short. These are the house files I have helped manage. Since I am recovering and need to focus on my health, please handle these accounts directly going forward. No insults, no speech. Just the truth. For utilities, I was careful. I removed my card where it was listed as a payment method and made sure billing notices went to the account owners. I did not shut anything off. Adults who owned a house could pay their own bills. I logged out of shared smart home apps, removed myself as emergency admin from the Ring system, and stopped calendar reminders for trash day, HOA fees, filter replacements, and lawn service. Then Celeste texted from Florida. Can you check if my Amazon package is coming tomorrow? It is going to your place by mistake. My first instinct was to help. Fix it, smooth it over, be useful. Instead, I typed, I am recovering from surgery. Please contact Amazon directly. She replied, wow. Okay. I did not answer. Later, I texted Iris Langford, my closest friend from college. She lived in St. Louis, 4 hours away. I wrote, I think I need to get out of here when I am stable enough to travel. She called immediately. When I told her everything, she went quiet, then said, I can come get you. I said it was a long drive. She said, so was leaving you alone after surgery. That was the first time I almost cried. Not because of my family, but because someone finally acted like what happened mattered. We made a plan. I would go to my follow-up appointment using a medical ride-share service the clinic recommended. If the doctor cleared me to travel by car with breaks, Iris would come the next weekend. I packed slowly. Work laptop, documents, clothes, medicine, chargers, and a few things that still felt like mine. I was not running away. I was leaving with a plan. And for once, that plan was about keeping me safe, not making Gerald, Patricia, or Celeste comfortable. They came home Sunday night. I heard the garage door open, suitcases rolling across the kitchen floor, and Celeste complaining that the flight had been delayed. I waited for footsteps on the stairs. I waited for Patricia to call my name. I waited for Gerald to knock and ask if I had managed okay. Nobody came. No one checked my knee. No one asked if I had eaten. They unpacked, laughed upstairs, ran the shower, and went to bed. That was the final confirmation. They did not forget me after they landed. They simply expected me to return to my role when they needed me. Monday morning proved it. At 8:12, Patricia texted, why is the camera app asking me to sign in? At 8:26, Gerald texted, did you change something with the HOA portal? It says, payment method needs updating. At 8:41, Celeste texted, did you remove me from Prime? I have stuff coming. I read all 3 messages while eating toast with my leg elevated. I had medication to take, exercises to do, and a follow-up appointment to confirm. Their emergencies were not emergencies. They were chores they had avoided learning. I did not answer right away. Patricia called and left a sharp voicemail about the front camera, the mail, and how I needed to call her back. Mail, everywhere. For years I had picked up the mail because the box was near my side entrance. I sorted bills, threw away junk, scanned documents, and reminded them of deadlines. 4 days without me had turned mail into a crisis. Then Gerald texted about the lawn company. I had not canceled them. I had stopped maintaining the reminder and payment method attached to my card. The renewal email had been sitting unread in his inbox. Celeste called next. I answered because I wanted to hear her version. She said, why are you being weird about Amazon? I told her I was no longer paying for the household Prime account. She scoffed and said, it is like $15. I said, then it should be easy for you. Silence. Then she said, "You are seriously doing this because we went on vacation?" That sentence told me everything. To her, the problem was not that they abandoned me after surgery. The problem was that I reacted. I said, "I am doing this because I need to recover, and I am no longer managing things that are not mine." She called me dramatic and hung up. By Monday afternoon, the house upstairs sounded unsettled. Patricia muttered at her phone. Gerald sat on hold with customer service. The printer jammed because no one cleared it but me. The Wi-Fi slowed down, and Gerald yelled down the stairs asking if I had reset the router. I did not answer because I was on a video call with my physical therapist, Maya Torres. Tuesday brought more problems. The HOA sent an email about trash bins left visible from the street. The family cell plan sent a payment failed notice because my card was gone. Gerald texted, "What did you do to the phone bill?" I replied, "I moved my number to my own plan and removed my personal card from your account. Please update your billing information." He called immediately. I let it ring. Patricia sent a long text about how family helps family, which was interesting because apparently family did not bring ice packs to daughters recovering from surgery. By Wednesday, the usual Instacart order had not arrived. Patricia opened the fridge and realized nobody had ordered milk, coffee creamer, eggs, salad kits, chicken, sparkling water, or the yogurt Celeste always stole when she visited. Patricia left a voicemail saying, "We have no food in this house because of you." I looked at the protein shake in my hand, the one I had paid extra to have delivered after they left me without food, and felt calm. They had cars, phones, money, and a grocery store 10 minutes away. What they did not have anymore was me absorbing every inconvenience first. That evening, Gerald knocked hard on the basement door. When I opened it, he looked at my packed boxes, then at my brace, like he had just remembered the surgery. He did not ask if I was okay. He said, "What is wrong with you?" I said, "I am recovering." He said, "No, you are making a point." I said, "Yes, I am." The old Maren would have apologized. She would have fixed the bill, ordered groceries, reset the camera, and asked to be understood while they ignored her. I was not her anymore. Gerald said, "Your mother is upset." I said, "I was upset too. Alone." After surgery. For 1 second I thought the truth had landed. Then he shook his head and said, "You always have to make things about you." I looked at my swollen knee, my medication bottles, and the boxes waiting for Iris. Then I said, "This time, yes." And I closed the door. The call started Thursday morning. Aunt Leona was first. She was Gerald's older sister, the kind of woman who knew everyone's business before lunch. I answered because I did not know what she had been told. She skipped hello and said, "Maren, what is this I am hearing about you sabotaging your parents' house while they were away?" According to the family version, I was angry because they took a short vacation, so I canceled services, messed with cameras, stopped groceries, and tried to punish everyone. They had abandoned me, then raced to become the victims before I could tell the truth. Aunt Leona said family should not treat each other that way, especially after parents had done so much. I said, "I am going to send you a few things. Please read them before you call me cruel." Then I hung up. I sent the family group chat where I explained the surgery recovery and everyone promised to help. I sent the unanswered messages asking for an ice pack. I sent the call logs. I sent Celeste's Florida resort story from that same day. I sent Patricia's sentence about me being old enough to take care of myself and them not being my servants. Then I sent a simple list of services I had paid for or managed. Prime, streaming, phone plan payments, HOA reminders, smart home setup, grocery orders, house files, insurance documents, lawn service reminders. I ended with one paragraph. I did not sabotage anything. I stopped paying for things that were not mine and stopped managing a house I do not own while recovering from surgery they promised to help me through. If that makes their lives harder, it is because they built a system where my unpaid work held everything together. For 10 minutes, nobody replied. Then Aunt Leona called back, quieter this time. She asked, "They left the day after surgery?" I said yes. Without telling you? Yes. And you could not drive? No. She exhaled and said, I am calling your father. After that, everything moved fast. Cousin Caleb texted me. I am sorry. That is not what they told us. Then another cousin messaged. Then an uncle. The same people ready to scold me started asking Gerald and Patricia why they left me alone after surgery. Celeste tried to defend them by saying I was independent and liked handling things myself. Caleb replied in the family chat. There is a difference between being independent and being abandoned when you cannot walk. By Thursday evening, the house upstairs was a storm. Patricia cried, but it sounded more like exposure than remorse. Gerald got louder every time his phone rang. Celeste arrived furious and said, She made us look horrible. Not we hurt her. Not, we should apologize. She made us look horrible. A few minutes later, all three of them came downstairs. Gerald said I embarrassed the family. Patricia said people were sending cruel messages. Celeste said I turned everyone against them over a misunderstanding. I let them finish. Then I asked, which part was misunderstood? The part where I told you I could not drive? The part where you promised to help? The part where I asked for ice and nobody answered? Or the part where you posted beach pictures while I was trying not to fall on the stairs? Nobody answered. Patricia said they just needed a break. I said, from what? From the surgery you did not have? From the bills you did not pay? From the groceries you did not order? Gerald snapped that I was disrespectful. That word used to work on me. So did ungrateful, dramatic, and selfish. But not anymore. I pointed to the folder on the table. It had the house archive list, contact numbers, logins that belonged to them, service providers, renewal dates, and instructions. I said, from now on, you handle your own house, your own bills, your own subscriptions, and your own emergencies. Celeste scoffed and asked if I was done being part of the family. I said, no. I am done being the part of this family that only exists when something needs fixing. Patricia finally said she was sorry, but it sounded rushed, like a password she hoped would reopen the account. A younger version of me would have grabbed that apology and called it healing, but I understood something then. An apology that appears only after consequences arrive is not always remorse. Sometimes it is just a request to restore service. So I said, I hope you mean that. But I am still leaving. Gerald asked where I was going. I said, somewhere I can heal. The next morning, Iris Langford arrived from St. Louis with blankets, bottled water, and a cooler full of ice packs because that is what real help looks like. She loaded my boxes, helped me into the car, and asked if I needed a break before we even left the driveway. Patricia watched from the porch. Gerald stood behind the screen door. Celeste sat in her car, waiting for someone to make her the victim. No one did. Before I left, Patricia asked if we could talk when I was settled. I said maybe, but only if the conversation was about accountability, not me coming back to fix things. Gerald said, this has gone too far. I said, no. It went too far when you left. This is where I stopped following. The aftermath was quiet but satisfying. Gerald had to call the phone company himself. Patricia had to learn groceries, HOA fees, and house accounts. Celeste had to buy her own Prime account and stop using my address as storage. Relatives stopped calling me selfish and started asking them uncomfortable questions. I kept doing physical therapy from Iris's guest room. Healing was slow, painful, and honest. I learned that love without boundaries can become labor. Helping people is beautiful when it is appreciated, but damaging when it becomes expected. Family should never mean one person silently carries everyone while being abandoned the moment she needs support. The strongest revenge was not yelling or destroying anything. It was stepping back and letting them face the life they had pushed onto me. Kindness is not a contract for self-abandonment, and if someone calls you selfish for protecting your health, peace, and dignity, maybe they were never angry that you changed. Maybe they were angry that you stopped being easy to use.